guys, welcome to Bad Weather Terrible. Today we're going to the Dragon Torment featuring the new Zatu from Pokemon Go with the Pinpoint Wave attack, allowing to do 90 damage to any one of our opponent's V Pokemon for 1 Psychic Energy. So we're using this card with our Hisuian Typhlosion VSTAR, placing 3 damage card on our opponent's bench Pokemon in any way we like with Hollow Flames, and hitting their active for 180. It also has the amazing Shimmering Star attack, allowing to knock out your opponent's active Pokemon if they have exactly 4 damage counters on it. So to charge up for the heavy attack cost with 1 Cresselia to do Crescent Glow, 1 Zacian V for Roar of the Sword, 2 Raihans and 2 Expansion. We also have our regular setup and supporter cards, 2 Escape Rope and 2 Bird Keepers for the switch, 3 Fog Crystal, 1 Manaphy, 1 Boss, 1 Pumpkaboo, and 1 Ordinary Rod. For the extra punishment, we're also playing 2 O Symmetries and 4 Horror Energies. We even have a Galarian Cursola to do Force Regeneration, putting a basic V Pokemon from our opponent's discard pile onto their bench, and placing damage counters on a Pokemon until it has 30 HP remaining. To help out with this attack, we have 1 Avery to make our opponent discard their Crobats or Luminions on the bench. Finally, for our energies, we have 1 Capture, 4 Horror, and 5 basic Psychic Energies. So that's all for the Deadliest, and be sure to grab yourself some packs from our sponsor at X-Trainer90 Team to build your very own deck from any cards in format. They even sell online codes for character rares, full art, and gold cards to expand your collection. So check out the link in the description below or click on the top right corner of this video to enhance your PTCG experience. Use code BTT for 5% off any products to get yourself some lovely cards. And now for the moment of truth, let's go for some gameplays! Okay, let's go ahead for our first game. Versus Arceus VSTAR with... I'm not sure what else they're playing. I know they're playing a Starbirth. But I kind of forgot what other VMAX or VSTAR they're playing. So we actually have our Cursola on the active spot. Cursola, my bad. Cursola helps you place damage counter on any one of your opponent's V Pokemon. So if you knock out with Shimmering Star, you can actually do Force Regeneration on your next turn, and then collect another knockout after that with your Hollow Flames. So Shimmering Star for the first V knockout, Cursola to drag it back onto the bench, place damage counter until it has 30 HP remaining if it's a Crobat. If it's something that's meant not to evolve, I actually got paired against Blissey V with Miltank, and I did Force Regeneration on the Blissey, but they got Sharon though. They actually did a Sharon on the next turn, removing all damage counter from that Blissey. So if they play Heal Dex or any, you know, colorless type Pokemon with Sharon, they can actually remove those damage counters with those effects, or even Scoop Up Net. But Scoop Up Net doesn't work for a V Pokemon, so it doesn't work that way. So Force Regeneration only works for V Pokemons in the discard pile. For Crobat, it's perfect. For Luminion, it's perfect. But any other V cards is actually quite difficult because they can either choose to evolve or even play Collapse Stadium or Sharon. If they do the evolution, they can actually choose to play Cheryl as well. So Cheryl, Evolve, very common combo. If they play that card, if they heal with Crystal Cave as well, you can't actually place damage counter for the knockout. Zatu may actually help you do the knockout with a few hits though, because it can do 90 damage to the bench V Pokemon. So if you can't do Hollow Flames on your next turn, because it actually helps you place 3 damage counter, which is enough to kill the V card if they don't evolve or heal, or even put a big charm on it. If they play tool cards like Cape of Toughness, they can actually avoid the 3 damage counter knockout. So Zatu can be helpful on that situation. For that case, Zatu would be the perfect, the perfect seal off. It helps you finish off the game with that 90 1 energy attack, which is very, very cool. So that's why we have 1 copy of that Cursola. Very fun attack because it's only 1 energy. Both those, 3 of those attacks actually. Our VSTAR attack, both our stage 1s, all 1 energy attacker. But we have our Hollow Flames as the main attack that we want to be relying on, which is our the proper attack we want to be using every single turn to collect enough damage counters on all of our Pokemon, spread damage up to 21 damage counters, which is not bad. 180 on the active, 3 on the bench. They are playing Flying Pikachu, which is not actually doing much, but they got their first Nova, and they're probably going to charge out the Crobat because they have Crobat inside the deck. They may have it prized though, so I'm not sure what they're going to do right now. Are they going to charge up the Crobat or the Pikachu VMAX? They could choose either one. So they chose the Pikachu, but they actually attached 1 to the Crobat. Oh, they didn't. My bad. I thought they did. Okay, we're gonna put our Typhlosion and do Hollow Flames right now. Let's play. So if you have a Horror Energy attached or a Old Cemetery, make sure you place only 2 damage counter on their bench Pokemon, the one that they're gonna attack on the next turn. If you're planning to knock out this one, or if you're not planning to use your V-Star power on the active Pokemon right now, because you actually need exactly 4 damage counter. If you have more than 4 damage counter, you're not doing a knockout with that attack. That attack doesn't work unless if they have exactly 4. So if they add damage counter onto their Pokemon with attacks like Pain Explosion, Moltres as well, if they do Aura Burn to damage themselves, they can actually avoid the knockout. They can avoid the knockout with your Shimmering Star. So your V-Star power is actually really difficult to use. Make sure you are aware what is the best situation, like how to best play that V-Star attack, because it is very precious and it's very useful because it gives you a free knockout for only 1 energy. If you can use it for your second Typhlosion, that would be perfect, because your first one is meant to do Hollow Flames to prepare enough damage counters for your second Typhlosion to do Shimmering Star, because your second one can't actually attack that fast without Raihan or Experience Share. You need both those cards though. You need both Raihan and Experience Share. If they one-hit KO your first Typhlosion, you need both those in your hand, and your tool card already attached before they knock out your first one. So it's actually pretty difficult. It's quite difficult to pull that off, especially if they play Dark type decks. Moltres, Darkrai V-Star, very popular now, Dark type, Gengar as well. So make sure you hit for that Shimmering Star once you can, because it can give you extra prizes. Not only that, it can buy you extra turns for you to do Hollow Flames later on. So you can also do Singe. You can prepare for the knockout if your opponent gets stuck early in the game. You can play your Singe to burn them first, and then if they flip a Tails, then they get to, you get to have 4 damage counter on them, passing the turn if you don't switch. If they switch, you actually have to prepare your Horror Energy. So the reason we are placing only 2 damage counter on their bench, 2 on each bench if you can, but since you're placing only 3 damage counter at a time, we may only be able to place 1 damage counter on the other Pokemon. So since Crobat is the one we need to look out for, since Crobat has the weakness condition, we want to be one-hit KOing that card as fast as possible. So that's why I chose to place 2 damage counter on the Crobat first. So the reason we are placing 2 is because we have a Horror Energy already attached. If we have 2 Horror Energies, I would recommend not placing any damage counter on their next attacker. So if they plan on attacking with the second VMAX or the second V-Star on the bench, then don't place damage counter on that VMAX/V-Star. Because if you place damage counter on it, and if they attack you, then they would have essentially more than 4 damage counters on it. They would have at least 6 damage counters. Then you wouldn't be able to do Shimmering Star. So Shimmering Star does not work anymore if they get past the 4 damage counter mark. So make sure you are careful with that. And also there's no guarantee with Horror Energy, as we all know. Fan of Waves, even with Old Cemetery, there's no guarantee because they can play Path to the Peak, they can play any Stadium card to remove that, Pumpkaboo even. So there's never any guarantee for any cards that you play, but it is that extra, that extra disruption, not disruption, but extra advantage that helps us place extra damage counter. If we can get it, if we're lucky enough for them not to play those cards, Crushing Hammer for the Tails, if they got a Tails with their Crushing Hammer, then we would be able to do Shimmering Star. And sometimes throughout the entire game, you may not be able to use that V-Star attack at all, just because it's that difficult. It's that difficult to play that V-Star power. Typhlosion is probably the most difficult to play in terms of V-Star attack. Kind of the same as your Shaymin, but Shaymin has Kricketune now. Shaymin has Kricketune, which is actually helping your grass Pokemon tank more damage. And the more you tank, it helps you buy extra turns for you to heal, and then you get to buy even more turns with that Star Bloom ability. So Shaymin is actually usable now, just because all thanks to that grass support, Gardenia, and what's it called, Kricketune. Kricketune is the big, the big plus for your Shaymin V-Star deck. Whereas with Typhlosion, we don't really have a proper support yet, because we have only nothing but Zigzagoon, Meowstic, I suppose, for Psychic damage counter transfer. and Inteleon to place damage counters, Spikemuth, Gape Jawbog, Old Cemetery, nothing much in terms of damage counter placement. Agatha as well. Good thing about Agatha is that you get to choose up to 3 damage counter to transfer from your active to their active, but if you're playing psychic Pokemons, chances are you're not able to tank that much damage because ghost Pokemons have very low HP and they normally, I'm not sure why my phone keeps falling off. They normally, you know, gets KO'd pretty quickly with one hit just because they are weak towards Dark type, and Dark type is so popular now. Moltres is very easy to add in any deck, especially the one price Moltres. The Fiery Wrath one is actually very disruptive because all they need is to play it from their hand, Clara, and then they got that one hit KO fast and easy within a single turn. Knock out your V-Star with one hit. Okay. So we got our Zatu, which is a pretty cool card to be playing because it is actually a free retreat cost card. So free retreat means Zatu actually gets to, you know, Zatu gets to be in the active for you to decide what to do later on. If you don't know, if you're not sure what to do, then just put a Zatu, because sometimes you may need to play your Bird Keeper just to draw cards. And if you have a Zatu on the bench, if you play a Bird Keeper onto the Zatu, you can actually retreat back onto your Typhlosion just to draw that 3 cards, even though you may not need to switch. So Zatu is pretty cool in that sense. But the main reason it's here is because it wants to collect the knockout with that 90 damage against V-Star or even V-Maxes or V cards on the bench, or even in the active spot after we did our spread damage with Hollow Flames. So spreading damage over and over with our Typhlosion, with our Force Regeneration as well, possibly, and also maybe Storm Slash, my bad. Hitting up to 150 damage. If you have 3 energy attached to your Zacian, I don't think we can attach that many because we only have 10, a total of 10 energies in this deck, and 1 colorless as well, 1 capture, so that's like 9 psychic energy. I don't think we can attach that much to Zacian unless if we have Raihan experience share onto that Pokemon. So it's pretty risky now because if they are able to attack with Crobat, so they didn't play a Raihan, so I don't see them attacking with Crobat unless if they do energy switch and switch or retreat. So they actually hit us with Arceus, and now they have 4 damage counter on the Arceus. We can't do Shimmering Star anymore, unfortunately, but we can actually knock them out after the next turn. So this turn we have to do Hollow Flames, and then on the next turn if they don't play a Manaphy, we can actually collect the knockout with Zatu. Zatu can actually do 90 to kill the V-Star on the bench. If they attack with the Crobat, they're probably going to attack with the Crobat, because if they don't, they're screwed. If they boss our Zatu and attack the Crobat though, attack with the Crobat, I don't think we can win that easily anymore. So Zatu would be the only ticket to our victory, I would say, for this game, because if they can either do a Manaphy or a boss. If they do either one, we're basically screwed. But I think we have a boss inside the deck. We may have the boss inside the deck still, so if we do a boss on next turn, we're still good. Let's hope we top deck a boss if they kill Zatu. If they don't though, we get to play that attack. We get to Pinpoint Wave on the Arceus for the final kill, winning the game against a Pikachu, a Flying Pikachu VMAX Arceus deck. Okay, Max Cutter for the knockout. This is a very meta deck. Like, it's the perfect meta deck, I would say. The best one, because you get to hit Palkia V-Star for you know, the one-hit KO with your Pikachu. You get to resist fighting type Pokemons with Urshifu. You get to you know, do your Star Birth and obviously Trinity Nova. So we did it. We actually did Pinpoint Wave for the knockout, winning the game against Arceus Pikachu. You get to do Crobat to kill Mew VMAX, to kill any Psychic Pokemon or Shadow Rider, even Ghost types, Typhlosion, obviously. And you also get to fight against one price decks, because if they play Lunatone Flying Pikachu takes no damage. It takes 0 damage from Lunatone just because it's a basic. So that's the power of your Max Balloon. So I would say that's probably the best, the highest tier standard meta that I've ever seen before, because Crobat VMAX, that one copy, is doing a lot. Flying Pikachu is doing a lot. Arceus VSTAR obviously is helping like crazy for the first few turns. If you get a double you don't even need a double turbo, honestly. You got your Star Birth, so all you need is enough stadium cards to get you by. I think they're playing Path to the Peak though for some reason, because I don't think they should be playing that many copies. Maybe they have a Pumpkaboo, I don't know. So they need to play Starbirth if they want to attack fast, and I think they need to, so that they can attack faster with their Pikachu and Crobat. I don't think they have that many supports though, so no Dunsparce, no Manaphy. I don't think they need a Dunsparce for that game, so maybe they have it in their hand, but they chose not to play it. Okay, right now we're up against a Mewtwo VSTAR with Latios and Latias. So they got a Fusion Strike combo, doing Red Assist, Blue Assist to attach energy from their hand. Psychic Energy, they don't need a lot of Psychic Energy, so that's actually a very smart combo. It's a different type of mechanic. Kind of the same as your Lunatone, but a different mechanic in a sense, because you're attaching from your hand. They need Training Card, they need Energy Retrieval, Recycler, stuff like that. And then draw them back from the deck with their Genesect. So good thing about this Latios combo is that you get to draw a lot of cards into your hand. If you have like 4 Fusion Strike Pokemon on your bench, you get to draw up to 4 cards every single turn. But obviously Mewtwo, if you have 2 Mewtwo in play, you actually need 2 though. And if they play Avery, you're going to be completely screwed. You're going to have to choose to discard maybe your Latioses. So having 2 Mewtwo in play, preparing for the next attacker, you actually only get to have up to 4 Fusion Strike Pokemon in play, drawing only 4 cards until you have 4 cards into your hand with Fusion Strike system. So Genesect is not working too well, just because you can't actually bench the Mewtwo late. It's an evolution, you don't get to bench it late. I actually played this deck with Widear. I played it, the combo, the Red Assist, Blue Assist, Genesect combo with my Widear, and it worked very well just because it's a basic. You can bench it late. You can do your Air Balloon onto your Latios, my bad. I think Latias has 1 energy retreat and Latios 2. So Air Balloon on any Pokemon works. Air Balloon on your Fusion Strike Pokemon, and then bench the, you can even play, you know, what's it called, Oricorio, just to protect your Genesect from a one-hit knockout. So after that, retreat to your Widear, transfer all the energies, and you're good to go. So you don't need to bench a second Widear. You don't have to have that second copy in play every single turn. You just need like 5 Fusion Strike Pokemon to draw up to 5, and then bench it late, bench it when you need it, switch after attaching your energies, and then you're good to go. Obviously, you need a lot of Stadium cards for your Widear deck, because Path to Peak completely destroys that ability. You need your Frontier Road to transfer everything onto your Widear V to do Psy Shield Bash for 1 billion damage. So it does 40x for each energy attached to that V Pokemon, and you get to attach a lot onto your Latios and Latias every single turn. Non-stop, if you have 4 in play, you get to attach 5 energies in a single turn. And, you know, if you do Raihan as well, Experience Share, you get to do even more, up to 6 energies, and 6 is a lot. My bad. 7 is a lot. All you need is 8 though. If you have 8 energies, you know, attached to your Widear, you get to do 320 to kill a VSTAR, a VMAX, my bad. And all you need is 7 to kill a VSTAR. Okay, let's focus on the game at hand. We have Mewtwo in the active, and they are killing our Typhlosion, unfortunately, this turn. But it's okay, we got 1 in the bench. So the 1 on the bench can do Shimmering Star if they don't switch or retreat right now. If they switch, they can retreat with Genesect. So we don't have a Horror in the active. That means if they switch right now, we only have 2 damage counter on their VSTAR, and we can't do Shimmering Star on the next turn. That means we're completely screwed, because they can easily just, if they discard everything though, then I don't think they have enough energy switches in the deck to draw, because they only get to draw up till until they have 3 cards in their hand. and they actually chose to do Psychic Raid, my bad, Star Raid, hitting only 120 on the active because we have a mana fee. So we actually get to evolve the active, and they didn't even switch. That means we get to kill off the V-Star in the active with our Shimmering Star. So they did their V-Star power on the last turn. Now it's our turn. Now it's our turn to strike with Typhlosion. There we go. One hit knockout. Free knockout. We actually did our burn singe on the last turn though, so it's actually not one hit. It's 2-hit knockout. We got lucky because they didn't flip heads. So they didn't got their switch card, they didn't flip a heads. And burn actually did the trick for the Shimmering Star to work. Now they have no Mewtwo on the bench. Latios may be able to attack. If they bench enough Latiases, they can actually attack with Luster Purge, but they chose to concede, so we won the game against Mewtwo VSTAR with Latios. Okay, right now we are up against a Marnie coin deck. I forgot whether, I think it's an Arceus. Another Arceus, this is Little Dark Furies. Arceus Decidueye Tapu Koko deck. So they got Hisuian Decidueye VSTAR, which is actually weak towards Typhlosion. And they also got Tapu Koko VMAX. Paralyze, draw, and doing 250 plus Choice Belt, I suppose. So Decidueye can do a V-Star knockout if they have like 3 energy in their hand to discard and a Choice Belt attached. They also can draw up to 8 cards into their hand. Arceus for the Starbirth. So if they play Starbirth though, they can't do Star Fortune. They only got 1 V-Star power to use. They have to choose between one or the other. We got Cresselia, but it's our first turn going first. Unfortunately, we're not able to play that for this game. So if you go first, if your opponent chose to go second, you're forced to play your Zacian. So it may be safer to play 2 copies of Zacian instead of the Cresselia. But the reason I opted for Cresselia is just because it is an additional attacker. So if they play Miltank, Cresselia can actually do a knockout with Photon Laser early in the game. So that's the power of your Cresselia. Zatu cannot do a knockout. It can only do Mind Bend for like 50 damage, 2 energies. Quite bad. You are confusing the Miltank though, which is not bad. Spooky Shot for Cursola only does 100 damage, so it's not enough to kill a Miltank even. Cursola needs 3 energies to do only 100 damage, so that's quite bad for 1 price. Even for a stage 1 is still pretty bad. But it has the super powerful force regeneration effect, I suppose. That's the reason why it has a terrible secondary attack. Ghost types are notorious for being weak. I guess Ghost type is kind of like Rapid Strike, because they're spreading damage, doing damage counters instead of damage onto your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. We used to have Spirit Tag. I love Spirit Tag so much. Spell Tag, my bad. Spell Tag is so cool though, because you get to place 4 damage counter in any way you like if your opponent gets knocked out for a tool card. That's so dope. That's so cool. I love it. Now we have instead our Horror Energy, which is only 2 damage counter, and you get, you can be fan, so it's not really that great. I don't know. Tool Scrapper and Tool Jammer though actually works for your Spell Tag. So even if they bring it back, it's not really that big of it's not big a deal even, because you're passing the turn hoping your opponent don't play those tool cards or don't play that Tool Scrapper or Tool Jammer to deny you from using its effect. Kind of the same as your Experience Share. You are passing the ball to your opponent to use those cards on their turn. If they don't search for those cards with Inteleon, with Shady Dealings, with Starbirth, if they don't have it in their hand already, or even do a Bibarel for the search, research for those cards. If they are not lucky enough to get those cards, then you get to use this effect. But if they get it, then you don't. So there's always a huge element of risk playing those cards. And I don't think we have a choice though for this deck. We need Experience Share, unless if you're ready to play cards like Gardevoir for the energy attachment, or Turbo Patch, which is not good either. I don't like Turbo Patch because I flip more tails than heads for this game. It's just the way it is. I don't know why. Gardevoir is a stage 2, so we don't have the space for any other Pokemons if we play that card. I think that's the only option for your Typhlosion, as opposed to Zacian, which only works for the first turn. You could play Flaffy for that 1 energy, 1 colorless, but it kind of defeats the purpose if you're playing like only 2 copies. Because if you want to prepare for 1 getting priced, you better be playing 2 copies. And you need enough lightning energy in the deck though, or even like energy searches if you don't want to play that many. So it's really difficult to build a Typhlosion deck because we don't have enough psychic support yet. A proper psychic energy support. Grass, we have Gardenia now. For grass, it's not too bad, I would say, because you get to play Eldegoss for the energies, and then Gardenia, Training Court even, Energy Search and Training Court, so it's not really that terrible. It's still playable, manageable, but for Psychic decks, we have nothing. We have nothing. Flaffy for Lightning, Frostmoth, Melanie for Water, Magma Basin for Fire now, and we got Metal Saucer for Metal still, which is going to last until 2023, so Metal Saucer is going to stay in the game for a few more months, which is good. Colorless Pokemon, you get to play Melanie, you get to do like anything for colorless Pokemon, honestly. Laffy, Cherim. So grass, you can even play Cherim for grass type Pokemon, non-rule box. What else? What other types are there? Dragon type, you can't play Magma Basin for Dragon type obviously, but you can play Flaffy, I suppose. Raihan. Dark type has Dark Patch. So I think every single type has a proper support in terms of item, supporter, or even ability to attach the energy, except for Psychic types. Like Psychic types is just terrible. Where like fighting has Gutsy Pickaxe. Even fighting Pokemon have Gutsy Pickaxe now. Gutsy Pickaxe is terrible. Like you need Oranguru to put it at the top of a deck. You need a Rotom Phone or something like that, or even like Expedition Uniform, but it's still manageable, right? It's still possible at least. It has the potential to work, whereas for Psychic type, there's nothing. There's just, you have no options for Psychic Pokemons. Nothing but Experience Share and Raihan, which is terrible. Shining Arcana works for any Pokemon though, but it would work best for Psychic type because you want to do Psychic Mirage. Psychic Mirage only works for Psychic Energy. So Cresselia needs 1 Psychic to do Psychic Mirage to copy, duplicate it essentially onto the bench. And then if you have extra copies on the bench, if they knock out your active, you get 3 Gardevoirs on the next turn. You get to do Shining Arcana up to 3 times. Turn 2, which is pretty cool. Turn 3, my bad. So second turn, obviously, Mirage Step. Third turn, Pokemon Breeder or something to evolve all of your Gardevoirs, and then Shining Arcana, Shining Arcana, Shining Arcana. Okay, here comes the second argument. We actually made a mistake for this game. We got the Raihan. That means we need to be checking if we have a Psychic Energy discarded. So the reason being we're playing so many special energies in this deck, and Raihan doesn't work for anything but basic energies. So make sure you check your discard pile. If you have Experience Share attached and a Raihan in your hand, you may not be able to do the search with your Raihan if you reattach your basic energy onto the bench. So you can always choose to discard the energy and not do the Experience Share effect, but we forgot to do that for this game. We thought we have a Psychic Energy in the discard pile, so that was the biggest blunder in my whole life. And we have an Escape Rope, but we shouldn't be using it. Like, we shouldn't be using the Escape Rope because, I don't know. We want to be hitting the Arceus, right? So we shouldn't be using the Escape Rope. If we did the Escape Rope after retreating though, we can retreat to discard the energies and then play the Raihan to reattach it back. So essentially we would have you know, 3 energies still attached to the Typhlosion, but after that we will need to play the Escape Rope just to attack with the same card again. So Raihan actually helps us search for the evolution. If we don't want to play that card, we can actually choose to do Shauna, and then Quick Ball for a Crobat to draw out the evolution, but it's not certain though. It's much less of a guarantee playing a Shauna than your Raihan, but I don't think we get to play Raihan this turn. If we do a Raihan, it would be quite bad though. It's impossible, right? If we do a Raihan, it would be perfect, my bad, but we are not able to. If we do a Raihan after retreating, it would be quite bad. So they actually conceded so we don't have to deal with that terrible mistake. Because I suppose they thought we have a V-Star in our hand, and we don't actually have it. We have 2 more copies inside the deck though, so probably Shauna would actually help us get it out, I would say. But you never really know. Shauna for Crobat at least. Because we have Ultra Ball. If we get an Ultra Ball, we will get the V-Star out, right? If we have a Quick Ball, we can search for Crobat and draw more cards. We haven't seen what we top deck though, so we don't know what we're top decking yet. If we top deck, for example, another Escape Rope, it wouldn't help though, would it? It wouldn't help actually. So make sure you don't make a single mistake. You cannot afford to make any blunder for this game. It is just that tight, especially nowadays. We got Starbirth, Shady Dealings. It's insane. The standard format is now insane. Like, no room for mistakes. I think it's always been this way, but honestly, I don't know. I hate Inteleon. Who doesn't? We actually get to play against Weavile from Brilliant Stars, which is pretty cool. So one of our opponents play Brilliant Stars Weavile, which actually does a hand disruption. So flip 2 coins, I think 3 coins, I'm not too sure. 1 energy attack for stage 1, flip 2 coins, I'm pretty sure. For each heads, put a card from your opponent's hand at the bottom of their deck. And then they are playing Thievul as well. Thievul to basically do the Marnie effect. And, you know, shuffle both players' hand, put them at the bottom of their deck, and then draw 4 cards for both players. And then after that, do their Weavile. I forgot the attack, but put 2 cards, if they get a heads, if they get 2 heads, put 2 more cards at the bottom. That means your opponent is down to 2 cards in their hand. And I think you get to choose any card. It's not like put, you know, trainer cards at the bottom, like Luxray, which is trash. Luxray actually helps you discard though, which is pretty cool, but if you discard any card, that would be great. For 2 energies, a V card, I mean, it should be any card, right? But it only lets you discard trainer cards, which is terrible. So if you get to put it at the bottom, if you're only putting cards at the bottom, if you're not discarding them, then I suppose they let you choose any card. That's why Persian is so broken on the last generation. For Sun and Moon, we have a Persian, which actually lets you choose any card in your opponent's hand to discard until they have 4 cards remaining, which is broken, I would say. For stage 1 prize is terribly broken for a control card. So I think they're trying to manage the control decks in that sense, making sure there are no broken attacks like that in format. I actually appreciate that in a sense, but come on, you shouldn't be restricting that much. Like, Luxray is a V card, for God's sake. You should be allowing discard for any type of cards in the hand, not just trainers. We got an Avery for this game, which is cool. So they played Crushing Hammer, which is just soul crushing because we need so much energies to attack with even Cresselia. So Cresselia is quite it's quite a difficult card to play in terms of the attack, just because you need to, you know, wait for your, if you need to use it on your second turn, sorry, on your first turn going second if you are playing Crescent Glow, and you need 5 energies in play for you to do 120 with Photon Laser. So it's actually not a great card to be playing, but we don't really have a choice though in terms of 1 price supports, 1 price attackers. And Cresselia is helping us not only do the energy charge, energy supply, but also helping us attack against Miltank. For this deck, we're actually playing a Drifblim. Drifblim helps us place 2 damage counter on our opponent's bench Pokemon while doing 60 to the active, which is not bad. So 2 damage counter actually helps us prepare for Shimmering Star. And if we do like Horror Energy on the Drifblim, killing the Drifblim would mean they have 4 damage counter on their bench Pokemon if, you know, the active is like a non-attacker or something. I don't know. They would probably kill us with the active first, right? So Zatu with Typhlosion is pretty cool. Because if you do Hollow Flames with your Horror Energy, I think the key card for this deck is Horror Energy. If you don't have that attached, I don't think it's that easy anymore. So that's why Cresselia is not really that great in terms of preparing extra damage counters early. Because if you play Cresselia, you're only attaching basic energies onto your bench Typhlosion for the first for your first attacker, for your first attacking VSTAR. You don't have a Horror Energy attached. You're forced to attach a Horror on your second one. That means, you know, you can't place damage counter upon the knockout. If they kill your Typhlosion, they are not taking extra recoil damage. So I would actually prefer to play like Zacian and Horror Energy for the extra. So if you don't get Horror Energy on your first turn, it's still okay. If you get a Fog Crystal, you can attach a basic, another basic on your first turn with your Roar of the Sword. And then after that, draw out the Horror Energy with either a Research or even a Pierre's for your Crobat. Pierre's for Crobat and a Special Energy, and you get to attach, draw, evolve, and then do the attack while placing damage counter on the bench and expecting them to take recoil damage hitting your Typhlosion. So if they do, you know, if they kill your Typhlosion with a VSTAR, they are taking 2 damage counter recoil. That means they essentially have 20 damage counter on their active. And if they somehow retreat to the bench or something on the next turn, we got Zatu to collect the knockout. So Zatu actually helps us do 90 damage to the VSTAR. And that's a total of 290 damage, killing it off without a big charm. If we have 2 Horror Energy, or if we have a Old Cemetery already in the active spot, if they take the recoil from Old Cemetery as well, that means they would essentially have 22 damage counter after doing our first Hollow Flames, and after they take the recoil from Horror Energy, then we would be able to still collect the knockout against the VSTAR with the big charm, doing 90 damage for a total of 31 damage counters. 310 damage is enough to kill any VSTAR, unless if they play like Kricketune with Leafeon. So Kricketune, Leafeon has like 360 total HP, because they got Leaf Guard to add even more, so to speak, because Leaf Guard actually reduces damage done to it by 30 on the next turn. So you are doing 30 less with your Zatu, even in the active spot. Well, if you play Escape Rope though, the effect actually gets erased. So if they do Escape Rope and then hit it on the bench, you get to do 90 damage onto the Leafeon. But it still has like 330 HP. So with a big charm and a Kricketune, Leafeon has 330 HP plus the Leaf Guard. You need 360 to kill it. So that's the power of Kricketune. Kricketune actually works the best, I would say, with Leafeon, because Little Dark Fury thought about it. I'm quite sad that I never thought about that, because Leafeon is the most tanky grass type VSTAR there is. The most tanky grass Pokemon I would say there is. And it is a VSTAR, so we would want to be playing a VSTAR for the deck. Because even if your opponent kills it, they are only drawing 2 prize, as opposed to a VMAX with like 370 HP, for instance, like your Leafeon VMAX, for example. If you have like a big charm and a Kricketune, you would essentially have, I think, 380 HP, if I'm not mistaken. So 380, that would be like 20 extra HP only for an extra prize, which is terrible. It's not a good trade-off. Your opponent draws an extra prize, and all they need is 20 extra damage. So I would rather play Leafeon VSTAR with Leaf Guard and Gardenia rather than Leafeon VMAX with Kricketune. It's a very smart deck though. Okay, let's play Fall Crystal to get a Psychic Energy. We're gonna attach it to our Typhlosion, and then we actually get to play our Force Regeneration. They trapped themselves. It was quite funny to see that they actually trapped themselves in the active with a Mew, doing the Galar Mine. So now we just need to wait for them to kill our Cursola because we don't have a switch card, unfortunately. I think we have a switch in our hand. So again, the recording block is blocking my view. I can't actually see what cards I have. I know we have a Raihan, but I can't see like the last card. Okay, it's a switch. It's a switch. That means we get to attack with Typhlosion on the next turn. If they don't play Marnie. So they actually did a big charm on the first Crobat that got regenerated. So we regenerated 2 Crobats for this game with 1 Cursola, which is pretty cool. Now they have like 6 damage counter, 60 HP remaining on the first Crobat, 30 HP for the second one. And all we need is to do like 3 Hollow Flames to collect 4 extra prizes. So I don't think we need that much. If we get a boss though, we can kill the Crobat, both the Crobats in one hit. And then Escape Rope for the final knockout. So I think we should be aiming to do Shimmering Star at some point. But it doesn't appear that we are within the range to do so. We got no O Cemetery. Horror Energy is not doing enough. Drift Blim, unfortunately, we should be placing it on the Slowking, but we chose to play our Cursola just because it's that, fun to play, I suppose. So even if they kill the Typhlosion with a boss, we got the second one and a Raihan as well. I think we're good to go. We can't play a Raihan though because they're poisoning us. So poison means we actually get knocked out passing the turn as well, right? If we don't switch, we get knocked out in the active, and it's their turn, right? It's their turn, that means they get to do another strike and poison us again, which is terrible. So thank God they didn't get the boss, and now we get to play our Typhlosion for 180 damage. All we need now is to kill 1 Crobat and the Slowking in the active because we got 5 prize remaining. So killing the VMAX and 1 V card seals the deal. And that's it. We don't need to do anything else. We got a Typhlosion VSTAR on the bench. Now we just need to play like Bird Keeper to draw the cards. I think we got a Crobat. So let's draw on the next turn and maybe play the Experience Share onto the Zacian. I don't think we need to do it right now. So draw something on the next turn with a Crobat, Bird Keeper, and then attack a second time if they kill off the Typhlosion this turn. But I don't think they can though. So they got 4 prize left. We actually did the Crobat early. I don't think we played it. I think we kept it in our hand. So we killed the Crobat. Now we just need 1 more strike on the active and they're done. They got no more attackers, nothing but Slowking to do the attack. If they play like a Sableye, like out of nowhere a Sableye with Dark Patch, I would be pretty sad. But they got no damage counter on the active though. I don't think they can kill our Typhlosion with a Sableye, because they need Scoop Up Net and Zigzagoons. So Weezing, Slowking control deck. They got 1 copy of Muck, I suppose. Maybe 2. And Crobat to draw. Mew for the items. They actually are playing tool cards. So Memory Capsule, maybe a Tool Jammer. Is a good control card to add for your control decks. Air Balloon and Big Charm. Air Balloon is not great though. Air Balloon with your Galar Mine, I mean, you need to waste another energy onto your Mew because it has already 1 energy retreat cost. So Air Balloon doesn't work for Grimer, but hiding energy I suppose works for anything except for Mew. So now they're stuck, right? If they don't switch or retreat, then they actually did a boss, but we got a Bird Keeper in our hand, we won the game. All we need to do is switch, that's it. So we got a lot of Bird Keepers in this deck, 2 copies and 2 Escape Ropes. We got no more switches just because Escape Rope is helping a lot more for your Typhlosion deck. You are hitting a new Pokemon on the bench, you're gusting the active, that means you're hitting a Pokemon without damage counters on it, or if you place like 3 damage counters on your last turn on that particular bench Pokemon, then Escape Rope, dragging that Pokemon out with Escape Rope would actually help you hit a new target, and then, you know, collect the knockout on their previous active by only placing 3 damage counters on that, you know, on the new bench, because they are basically the new bench Pokemon now. Escape Rope helps you spread a bigger, you know, it does a bigger spread in a, you know, so to speak. In other words, it helps you do a bigger spread. Because you don't want to be killing the active with 180 damage if they only have 30 HP remaining, right? If they have 30 HP remaining, you should be killing it on the bench with an Escape Rope. Or a boss. Or a Venusaur. Okay, here comes Zacian. Right now we're up against a Lunatone deck. We don't have a high chance of winning, but we're gonna, you know, we're gonna toughen it out. We're gonna hang in there and hope for the best, because we actually got an early start. We got our Zacian, which is not a big surprise because we got enough, you know, setup cards in his deck to draw it out. We didn't get to play our Cresselia, but that's okay. If we got to play our Cresselia, it would be our second turn. Sorry, it would be our first turn going second, which would be very late, starting the game. And on our second turn attacking, they would be able to do the knockout already, right? They would have done a knockout before we can attack. So it's always best to go first against Lunatone. If you're not playing Pikachu VMAX, Flying Pikachu, my bad, or if you're not playing, you know, Empoleon V to deny them from using Soul Rock, or any other one-price deck that can attack fast. Even with a one-price deck, you still need to go first, I think. It's better to go first with a one-price deck. But if you are going second, you can attack first. If they attack first, they may be able to collect their first prize, killing your one prize, because one prize doesn't have that much HP, they don't need that much energy, and all they need is like 3 discards, 2 discards, and 1 attach from their hand. Then they're good to go to kill any one prize with Moon Kinesis. So that's pretty broken. Lunatone is pretty broken. That's why I suppose meta decks have so many Averys now. Avery is like, you cannot go without that card now. It's so important. Avery helps you destroy Regigigas. It helps you destroy Lunatone because they only got so much rescue carriers to play. If they run out of their rescue carriers, Rod, Clara, then they can't actually recycle enough Soul Rock. And they also need to revive their Lunatone. If they can't revive both, then they got no attackers, not enough energies attached, then they can't do enough damage, they die, they lose. We have another Lunatone, by the way. A different copy, a different print of a Lunatone. From Sword and Shield, if I'm not mistaken. It does like Fortune Future Sight, my bad. Future Sight, helping you look at the top four cards of either player's deck and then arranging them in any way you like. So you can either choose your deck or your opponent's deck and then look at the top 4 cards and, you know, put them in any order and then put them back at the top of the deck. Kind of the same as your Orbital Bugs Radar, except it's an attack as opposed to an ability. Lunatone, Future Sight, I tried it with Thievul to build a control deck. You know, before we had cards like Starbirth, Bibarel, before those cards were available, Thievul could possibly help you. Well, Inteleon, we still have Inteleon though at that, you know, for that time, we still have Inteleon to help us search for anything. If they don't play Shady Dealings, Thievel could help you disrupt your opponent's hand, especially after playing your Future Sight. You get to arrange their top deck, and then they actually get, they may be able to get stuck on that one turn, and then if they do get stuck, we can basically, somehow discard their hand later with something like Oleana, Sydney, maybe even, Dark Sylveon V. Not discard their hand, but, reduce their hand in a sense. I tried it, it doesn't work, because Future Sight is terrible. It's 1 energy attack, but it's way too weak. You're passing one entire turn, doing nothing but arranging your opponent's deck. You can choose to, look for cards that you need at the top 4 and put it at the top card of your deck. You can choose to, rearrange your own deck, but it doesn't really do much in that, for yourself, I would say. They can spread damage to kill the Soul Rock, but they probably have a lot of scuba nets. So playing that many nets help them erase damage counters on our, after our Hollow Flames. That means Hollow Flames cannot actually collect extra knockouts on the bench that easily, all thanks to that scuba net. And they got 3 copies remaining. They're drawing like crazy with Pokestop. They're drawing like crazy with Raihan, Research. I mean, I don't think we can win that easily unless if we are consistent in terms of knockouts. If we keep our flow, if we're able to do a knockout every single turn non-stop, then we stand a good chance of winning, because they need 2 strikes if they don't do a boss as well. If they boss our Crobat, so it was a big mistake playing the Crobat onto the bench, because bossing the Crobat earns them an extra prize. So if they do a boss at the last minute, they can actually win the game still. So that's the bad thing about Lunatone, is that it's way too broken. Like, it's way too fucking broken. Stop it. Why are you making this 1 price deck so broken? And with Manaphy out now, I don't think they get to bench a Manaphy. If they bench a Manaphy, they can't do as much damage as they'd like, because Greninja helps you discard as well. If you play a Manaphy and 4 Soul Rocks, you can't play anything else. No draw support is quite bad, but I don't think you need anything else. If you have an Air Balloon, you don't need a draw support. You don't need anything. You just need to maybe attach to your active if you don't have a switch, and then retreat, reattach. You get like up to 150 damage in a single turn, which is not bad still. Like 150 every single turn consistent is crazy. You don't even need draw support, honestly. You just need like Pokestop, enough Research Marnies in your deck, and that's it. Fog Crystal even is way too crazy. We got our second Typhlosion. We're gonna do a Bird Keeper and attack with the second one. I think we did a Shimmering Star. We did a Shimmering Star to help us buy an extra turn, so that we get to attach another energy onto the bench. And then Bird Keeper to do Hollow Flames right now to collect 1 more prize. And then, so we got a second prize with this Typhlosion, which all we need to do is attach, keep on attaching energy onto the bench right now. So if they do a boss, I think they still stand a good chance at winning. We are 2 prize ahead though, for some reason. We're 2 prize ahead, I don't know why. I thought we were only 1 prize ahead. So even with the horror energy, O Cemetery is not doing nothing, I suppose that's the reason. Even with the horror, We could knock it out on the bench with Escape Rope, because they have 50 HP remaining. If we're playing a Dragapult, they would be done by now. Dragapult is so much better than Typhlosion because it only needs 2 energies. And I know it does less damage, but overall I would say it does more because it plays like 5 damage counter on the bench. It does like total 18 damage counter, which is like much less than 21, but not by a lot, right? It is less than 21, but not by a lot. So -1 energy for 3 less damage counters. I would rather play Dragapult. But it's gonna get rotated on the next season though. And like it's not a V-Star, so if it gets knocked out with Moltres, if they kill your Dragapult with a Moltres, you can charge up the next one with the Raihan. You can get it ready to go in like with the flip of hand immediately, instantly after the first one gets knocked out. But all they need is another VMAX knockout. If they kill your second Dragapult, they win the game. Whereas with Typhlosion, they need to kill 3 copies to win the game. So we got our Pumpkaboo. We're gonna just discard that bloody Pokestop to stop them from getting the Scoop Up Nets and the switches, but we don't need it anymore. Like, we're not collecting extra prizes this turn. Collecting extra on the next turn is not doing anything because we're down to 1 last prize. And for some reason, we are 3 prizes ahead right now. I don't know how it got to this. Oh, right, because they actually have like 180 damage on both Typhlosion. So all they need is 2 more strikes to win the game. But we just need 1 more strike, right? So they need 2 more turns, while we need just 1 last turn. So if they can somehow play the Greninja to kill both the V-Star, then we're dead. But they don't have water energies in this deck. Thank God. Thank God Greninja is not a Psychic Pokemon. And now we got our second Typhlosion ready to go. Winning the game against Lunatone. You never know though, something can still happen at the last minute. Even if they kill the Crobat on the last turn, they need another boss though. They need 2 bosses, right? 180 is enough to kill a Crobat. So if they do 2 boss, they can quite easily win the game. Bad thing about Pokestop is that you may discard your supporters, so it's always healthy to play 1 or 2 copies of Pulpad if you're doing Pokestop. Pulpad, Rod, cards like that, you know, items that lets you, recycle your supporter and Pokemon's trainer cards, special energy, Roseanne. So we won against Lunatone, which is kind of bizarre because it rarely ever happens. But I suppose we kept it going, right? We were persistent and I suppose we got lucky in a way because they couldn't attack on the first turn, and that's all it takes. All you need to do is, keep on killing 1 prize at a time. If they don't kill your Crobat, you're good to go. You can actually win the game. They didn't do it for so many turns though. They didn't do a boss for so many turns. So I suppose we did get lucky. They could have bossed the Crobat quite easily. Okay, here comes Weavile. There we go, Weavile from Britain Stars. Disrupting our hand with... I forgot the attack, sorry guys. 1 energy, darkness Pokemon, and flipping 2 coins. So we got Zacian for this game again. We actually got the Pokemon Go Xatu for this list. This is quite an early list. So one of the earlier versions, we actually have like Drifblim, Zatu, and Cursola. Not as many supporter cards and not as many energies. So eventually I decided that we need a solid copy of 10. Solid 10 energies at least, and 3 Fog Crystal. Otherwise you're not going to get it into your hand with like Research or even a Crobat. So sometimes I play a Crobat and a Marnie and got no energies. That's why it's so important to play that many copies. Horror energy doesn't show up that easily for some reason. I don't know why. For the first few games, yes, but the more times you play with the same deck, the less likely are you able to draw the right cards that you need. I don't know why it just happens that way, because the game wants to challenge you, I suppose. So we're stuck for one turn because they play a Crushing Hammer, I think. Now we're forced to play Roar of the Sword again. We're gonna burn the active, well, not burn, but, you know, scorch the active, I suppose, and damage the bench. Weavile is a, what's it called again? It's a Ice Dark type, Darkness and Ice, and I think Sneasler is a Fighting Ice. No, it's a Poison Ice, right? It's a Poison. Is it a Poison Fighting? I don't know. Poison Fighting Dark Ice. I don't know what type Sneasler is. There we go, Brilliant Stars. First time ever I've seen people play this. I tried to play it. I tried Mismagius. I tried planning a deck with Weavile, but eventually Ransack. I eventually decided it's just not gonna work against meta decks. We got Big Barrel now, and it's just trash, right? If you're up against Big Barrel Genesect, you can't do anything with that attack. They can reverse the effects so easily. If they need those cards though, like if you put an Elisa or something they need at the bottom, and if they're only drawing cards from the top, if they're not playing cards like Shauna to shuffle their deck, or Bruno, or even, what else shuffles the deck? I don't think there's any other card that lets you shuffle the deck. Copycat. So if they don't play cards like that, they can't actually draw the bottom cards from the deck, or even Expedition Uniform. I think Expedition Uniform would work really well for Mew VMAX decks. So Mew VMAX with the Rotom Phone and Expedition Uniform, I think that would be pretty smart because they are all item cards. And Cram-O-Matic, VIP Pass, obviously. Also, maybe even Switching Cubs and Gutsy Pickaxe. So Switching Cubs, Gutsy Pickaxe for Fighting Energy onto one of your bench, right? So Mew VMAX gets to attack with Fighting Energy instead of Psychic, because it can do Cross Fusion Strike with Fighting, but it can't actually do Max Miracle though. So it may be smart to play, I don't know, Elisa and Fog Crystal instead of, it may be smarter to do that instead of Gutsy Pickaxe, but it is an extra option because Max Miracle works against Miltank, so I think it should be wiser for us to play Psychic Energy for Mew VMAX decks. But Expedition Uniform would work really well, because if they play a Marnie and if you need those cards at the bottom, if you need your boss at the bottom, you can actually do Expedition Uniform, Genesect to draw it back out, and then play a boss on your next turn. So I would love to have that if I'm ever building a Mew VMAX deck. But it doesn't seem like it would be for a while, because that deck is already far expired. In terms of YouTube, right? If you want to, you know, make YouTube videos, you should be featuring new cards, because nobody's gonna watch Mew VMAX anymore. Okay. Escape rope. Let's put the Zatu. There we go. We got a free retreat Zatu in play already. And they're not playing V cards. Oh, they got a Crobat. So we can actually we can two-shot the Crobat with our Pinpoint Wave. Draw 2 prize. And then all we need is, you know, Hollow Flames to kill the Seedot on the bench. And we actually win the game. Oh my goodness. Crobat. Crobat is a beast, just because we are playing Psychic Pokemons. So we have 2 Zatus for this list, and 2 Cursola, I think. 2 Zatu and 2 Cursola. At one point we actually played a Zoroark, like a Zoroark, 2 Zatu, and 1 Cursola. So it's actually pretty weird, a pretty weird combo. I don't like Zoroark anymore, because if we play Zoroark, you're gonna need to play enough discard, enough, you know, ways to discard your stage 1 Pokemon to search for it as well. So I would rather play, you know, Zatu, nothing but Zatu and Cursola. Maybe even a Drifblim. But eventually I decided on one copy, which is the bare minimum that we need. Honestly, we don't really need it, but it would help out if we can get it out at the right time. It would help a lot. As you saw earlier, that one Zatu helped us earn our first win against Arceus, and that one Cursola helped us win against Slowking, the Slowking control deck. Because we got a Crobat, a free Crobat knockout on the bench with our Force Regeneration. And, you know, all we need to do is wait for a knockout or do Avery at just the right time. Avery helps us remove V cards from the bench, and that means if they don't play a research to discard their own V Pokemons from their hand, we got it in the discard pile anyways to play our Force Regeneration. And here comes Eternatus. So they're playing a crazy dark box, not exactly a control deck, just because Weavile is quite trash, and I think they know is quite bad. Because we have Bibarel Genesect now, so Weavile may not work at all. And for that, you know, just to prepare for that situation, if they play Bibarels, they have additional attackers like Eternatus, which is a very broken, very powerful VMAX card, VMAX attacker. And also, what else do they have? They got Crobat VMAX to attack, obviously, but they got the C-Dot. That means they're playing Shiftry, which is an additional control card. Shiftry gets to Gust. Not Gust, but Shuffle. It gets to shuffle a Pokemon that has damage counters on it. Any Pokemon on your opponent's field, any Pokemon that has damage counters on it, into the deck. Oh no, my bad. It's put it into their hand. You get to put any Pokemon with damage counter on your opponent's battlefield back into their hand. Okay, Fumbling Hands. They are drawing cards with that attack, but also disrupting our hand. And we got a Fog Crystal. So I tried Fog Crystal with like 4 basic energies. It doesn't work. Because Raihan never shows up at the right time. And we always run out of energies. So if you get a Fog and no more basic energy inside the deck, you cannot attack with your second Typhlosion, because you need to search for your special energy, and there's no way to search for that card other than your, you know, draw supports. If you're drawing from the top deck, or even with a shuffle card like Bruno, Shauna, I don't think it's that easy to get your special energies. So it's better to play more basic, because it's easier to summon with your Fog Crystal. We got 2 experience share, and we can even attack with our Zacian on the next turn after our Typhlosion gets killed. So we actually get to kill the Crobat on the bench with our Zatu. So it's another Zatu win right here. But we actually put the Typhlosion just because we wanted to give off the decoy. So the decoy actually helps us pull off the Zatu Pinpoint Wave. If they are not aware we could use that attack, but apparently they knew we could do it and they just conceded. So we wanted to showcase Zatu, but we couldn't do it. So eventually we had to play more games and finally stumbled on an Arceus win with Zatu. That's why that was, you know, shifted as the first game. It wasn't actually our first win, but I actually showcased it as the first game in this video just because I wanted to show off Zatu's amazing Pinpoint Wave attack. This was actually one of the earliest one. Not this, I mean the last one, the Weavile. The Weavile gameplay was actually one of the earliest build of our Zatu Typhlosion deck. So right now we're up against a Scorch, Blastoise, and Charizard. Very popular deck. I don't know why. People love this deck so much. And all you need to do is not draw enough cards. Don't draw, just keep on killing, that's it. They got no Crushing Hammer, they got no control cards. All they are hoping for is you to draw enough cards and not get the boss at the right time. Because if you get the boss when they don't have a Diancie, when they run out their Diancie, and if they don't have enough energies on the Scorch, then you can still do a boss, or maybe force them to play the attack early, to use their 100-foot flames early, to discard less than the necessary amount to deck you out. And then after that, you know, if they do the attack fast, you can even play the boss after that. So it's always better to boss the Charizard, I would say. Or if you have a toy catcher, Pokemon catcher, cross switcher, it's better just to kill either the Blastoise or the Scorch. If you have a boss, kill the Blastoise Charizard, right? But the Charmander, I think, would be the best kill. So target the Charmander first, and then other things, everything else. Because if they get a second Sizzlipede, they can still do the Blastoise on the second copy, and then Charmander is alive, so it's gonna probably evolve at the last minute because they got Greninja for the draw. And once they got enough energy out of the way, so to speak, attached from the deck, drawing 2 cards is going to be a lot with Greninja, right? Because you're probably going to draw nothing but supporter, trainer cards, or your Pokemon, which is all you need to evolve your Stage 2 Charizard, and also Sizzlipede at the right time. You need double evolution though. So you may have already Scorch in your hand, or even a Charizard. All you need is a rare candy and another incense, and you're good to go. So that one supporter, Cynthia, Bruno, Irida is probably going to get you one of the other copies. There we go. Irida for a Squirtle. And maybe another Lucky Egg. So Lucky Egg, I think it's smart. It's probably just quite a smart strategy, because if you get set back by a Scorch, by a Sizzlipede knockout, at least you get to draw up till you have 7 cards on your turn. If you get bossed, or if they play like, you know, Toy Catcher, anything, Cross Switcher to kill your Sizzlipede early, at least you get to draw enough cards to do a Rod, to do a Ordinary Rod or a Rescue Carrier or something to put it back onto the bench, and then Rare Candy evolve to Blastoise, Vitality Spring again, and then repeat the cycle, right? So Lucky Egg is quite smart. The very first build of this Scorch deck I saw on YouTube isn't really that good, but now people are trying to upgrade it to make it as best as possible. And even the best version, I would say, is quite weak, is quite terrible, because you're playing 2 Stage 2 and a Stage 1. You're playing so many Pokemons. It's ridiculous. It's so stupid. I mean, it's so stupid. Why would you be so stupid? Essentially, if you could do Vitality Spring 3 turns in a row, I suppose you could deck your opponent out with 1 strike. Because you got, like, you know, if you attach energy from your hand as well, or even with Magma Basin, you could do like 40 plus discards with 100-foot flames. But having so many energies attached to that Sizzlipede, you are investing everything, right? Everything onto that one Pokemon. And if your opponent play Cross Switcher is popular now, especially with Palkia, Irida, Cross Switcher, or even Adamant for Cross Switcher as well. Dialga VSTAR, Palkia VSTAR have those cards. Arceus can actually Starbirth for those cards as well. Pokemon Catcher, Toy Catcher with your Blastoise. You can even hit their bench. They got no mana fee, and I think they're only playing 1 copy. And if you get prize, they can't actually protect their bench. So it is that bad, guys. It's just terrible. They need mana fee. They need Blastoise. They need Charizard at the last moment. They need Scorch. It's way too many Pokemon. They need Diancie. They need like a draw support Greninja. It's way too much. Way too much. So many rare candies. Like, come on. How smart can you be building this terrible deck? So there we go. Escape Rope helped us draw an extra prize early. So we don't really drawing too many cards into our hand. They may have a boss to trap us on the next turn though, so we should be preparing for a switch in our hand at least. So let's just draw something. We got a switch on the Bird Keeper, which is perfect. So Escape Rope is giving us an extra prize, which is grand. Now we got 2 prize left, and all we need to do is kill something. I think if we get a boss, we should be killing the Charizard. So fingers crossed for a boss on the next turn from either the prize or the top deck. If they play a Marnie, I don't think they have Marnies in their deck. So Cynthia, Bruno, and Irida. I don't think they have the space for Marnie. That's how terrible Centiskorch is. Okay, they are putting Greninja. So they're trying to do that final turn kill. They got only 1 extra turn though. So if they don't do 100 Foot Flames on the next turn, I don't think they are able to play that attack at all. So Vitality Spring, Raihan, Magma Basin, they can do like up to 15 or even 16 energies attached. If they attach 17 energies, they can deck us out. So they need 17, they need 10 more energies. So essentially they need a Magma Basin, a Raihan, you know, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? They need to attach 1 from their hand right now and play a Magma Basin plus a Raihan and another energy from their hand on the next turn. So that's like the max amount of energies. They need 17 energies with a Charizard to deck us out. So that's how terrible. We even have a Marnie in our hand. We can still save our hand. We can save our deck, right? Put those cards at the bottom. That means we have like 35 cards left on the next turn. So they need even more discards. Marnie is really that good. Marnie and Shauna helps you kind of guard you against mill decks, because you are putting cards back into your deck and drawing less than, you know, less than normal. Less cards than you have in your hand if you don't play them. So always choose not to play if you're up against mill decks. Don't play too many items, don't play too many of your cards. Keep them in your hand and then play the Marnie to put them back into the deck. So they get to have more cards inside there and they can't actually deck you out that easily. So we got our Cresselia. So we actually got lucky and play a Horror Energy on the Cresselia. That means if they hit us, they're gonna have to take 2 damage counter recoil, so at least we have that. If we got an Old Cemetery early though, we didn't get it, unfortunately. We're only playing 2 copies, I suppose that's the reason. So I would prefer to have more Old Cemeteries. But the reason being, they are playing, you know, they could be playing Shadow Rider or Psychic Pokemons themselves. And Old Cemetery doesn't work for Psychic types. But if we have an Old Cemetery, they would be done, right? They would have essentially, if they play Melanie though, they can still avoid the damage counter. Essentially, they would have 4 damage counter killing our Cresselia, but they actually chose not to kill it. Look at that. They chose to keep their energies because they got no Sobbles on the bench, I suppose. So no Sobble means they cannot play a Melanie that easily on the next turn if they discard energies with Max Lands, but they just need to discard 1 energy though. If they discard 1 energy from their active, they just need 1 more on the next turn to kill the Typhlosion. But I suppose they may need to search for the Choice Belt. If they don't get the Choice Belt, they can't kill the V-Star. But we don't actually have... We have a Raihan. I don't think we can discard our basic energy though. So if they killed our Cresselia on the last turn, I think we would be done for. Because we got nothing but Bird Keeper to draw. And I don't think Bird Keeper can draw us enough cards to evolve. Maybe a Crobat, I don't know. So let's just do Photon Laser. We got lucky for this game. They chose not to do anything. They could have killed us like much earlier. I don't know why they chose not to do that. So now if they kill the Cresselia, we got 16 damage counters on it. We just need to do Hollow Flames to collect the knockout. We have to evolve though. How are we gonna evolve? Oh, we got Raihan. Now we get to play Raihan on the next turn now. So passing that 1 turn was a big mistake. And all it takes is that 1 mistake for us to win the game. So that's why I say you cannot afford to make a single misplay. Not even a tiny misplay. That's all it takes for your opponent to win. Raihan for the evolution, and we got even an experience share. But unfortunately, we're not able to play, we're not able to attach an energy from our hand if we do a Typhlosion right now. I don't think we have a choice. Like, if we play a Crobat, we're not going to draw anything out. We only got like 3 triple draws with a Crobat, which is not good. We have to kill the Ice Rider right now, because it's so rare that you get to kill that card, right? It's so rare that a Typhlosion gets to knock out an Ice Rider. Like, can you imagine? It's so rare. Trust me, I've lost against Ice Riders so many times. Trust me. Okay, here comes Melanie with Suicune. And they can't knock us out because not even with Articuno and like Summoning Horn, because I don't think we have enough Pokemons in the discard pile. So now, not enough bench Pokemons on our side. Here comes the Rod, and Frostmoth is gonna charge up the second Ice Rider probably. So they got sorry about that, my bottle. So they got a Manphy on the bench. That means Zatu is not doing anything. Zatu cannot actually hit the bench for this game, unfortunately. We were planning on using that card anyways to feature this deck, but it's okay. We can still use our Typhlosion. It is still an Astro Radiance at least. An Astro Radiance combo. Supposedly, supposed to be a Pokemon Go themed deck list, but we only have 1 copy of Zatu now, which is actually preferable because that attack actually only works against V cards. So if they play 1 prize, Zatu cannot do anything but Mind Band, and it only does like 50 damage for a Confusion effect, 2 energies, which is quite bad. So right now we can actually kill the Frostmoth and the Suicune for the final 3 prize, or like maybe Shimmering Star on the VMAX. If we Shimmer on the VMAX, we can kill it for the final 3 prize. So I think they might not choose to evolve it though, so it's quite tricky now. We got a boss in our hand, so I think we should be hitting the Frostmoth. If we do damage controls on the Frostmoth though, they may just play a Scoop Up Net to erase those damage controls. We have no Horror Energy, so I don't think we are able to play our Shimmering Star that easily. Let's just invest everything on the Frostmoth. I don't think there's any point placing damage control on the Ice Rider because we can't actually place enough to make a difference. We got no Horror, no Old Cemetery in play. And even if we do have a Horror, they got a Temple of Sinnoh, which I forgot to check. Temple of Sinnoh, you know, erases, like, ignores all effects of special energies. That means Horror Energy plays no damage control on our opponent's active if they damage our Pokemon. Finally, a Sobble. Way too late, yo. Way too late. I got so lucky. Can you imagine a Ice Rider deck without a Sobble to start? Very rare that you see that happen. I think they're playing so many different cards though. The reason being they're playing Greninja, Suicune, Frostmoth, in addition to Ice Rider Inteleon. If you play nothing but Ice Inteleon, you got your VIP, Quick Ball, Level Ball, more space to add your basic summons, and a higher chance, a higher rate of benching enough Sobbles for enough Shady on your next turn. So if you Shady for a Melanie, you can do either a Boss, Melanie, Incense, Research, anything. You can do anything with that fucking Drizzile. With that fucking Drizzile. When is it gonna get rotated? I hate Drizzile. It's a love-hate relationship because I actually use it as well. So if you get to play with it, it's fun. But if you are up against it, it's the worst feeling ever. So I advise people not to turn to meta decks so much, because it's kind of brain dead. You're destroying your brain. You get to win a lot, obviously, yep, but it's not really a satisfying win because you're not challenging yourself. It's kind of like a easy win, right? It's too easy to win with Ice Rider Inteleon and nothing else. So I suppose they're challenging themselves by playing different cards for this list. Because Ice Rider Inteleon doesn't actually work against one price. If they play one price, like even Regigigas, I don't think Ice Rider can kill it. I don't think Ice Rider can win. So Greninja Frostmoth gives them that extra dimension against one price decks. Especially if they don't play Manaphy. They can't play Manaphy like Regis. Or Lunatone. Lunatone, if they play energies, they can't actually do enough damage for the knockout. As we say just now, sorry, not energies, Manaphy. Okay, right now we're up against a Rapid Strike box, playing Sylveon VMAX with Florges, transferring their energies onto Zeraora to do Crossfist on the next turn, hitting 2 Pokemons, 1 V card on the bench for 190 or even 220 with Passimian. So Zeraora Sylveon actually is a perfect combo, you know, a harmonious combo. It works really well with Tower of Waters and Florges, and that's what they want to play, and they even have a Phalanx in their deck as well, and also Octillery for the extra flow, extra, you know, search and consistency, I would say. So that's all for this video. I think we're gonna end the voiceover right here. Hope you guys enjoyed this new combo. Today we are featuring the new Zatu from Pokemon Go, doing Pinpoint Wave for 90 damage to any one of our opponent's V Pokemon, and also Hisuian Typhlosion VSTAR, doing Hollow Flames for 180 damage, plus 3 damage count on your opponent's bench Pokemon in any way you like. And it can also do Shimmering Star, the VSTAR Power, for a free knockout if they have exactly 4 damage count on their active. And we even have one Cursola to do Force Regeneration, dragging out a V Pokemon from their discard pile, from their graveyard basically, and then placing damage counter on that Pokemon until it has 30 HP remaining. So we actually get to play that with our Hollow Flames to do a free knockout, extra knockout for extra 2 price if they don't evolve that Pokemon on the next turn, if they don't get their heal cards in time, if they don't do Collapse Stadium, or if they don't get their Sharon. So that's all for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Have a great day and bye for now, lovely people! Enjoy your life!